Good evening. Welcome to What's New. We have some lovely guests and we have some lovely desserts. The desserts were for that. Anyway, we have some lovely guests and I will let Iris take over and introduce them to you.
Okay, first off, who's going to go first? Got to ask you that.
We'll make Bryant go first.
Okay.
Well, do you want to start off with the boring or start off with the goods?
Okay, actually, we're going to start with a video tonight. But we do have Dale Wright is going to be on a video so everybody can see it. And then we have Bryant Wolfe, and he's going to kind of tell us about Proposition 2. Then we have Luna Ice, who's got a very interesting story. And so we'll get to them, and they can choose whichever way they want to go. So I guess we are ready for the video, right?
I guess so.
Okay. Ready, Charlie?
I am Marianne Roth, one of the members and the founder of What's New, and we're here to talk to Dale Wright, and he is state representative of 116 District, and he's going to talk about Medicaid expansion. So I will. There you are, Dale Wright.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And yes, I'm delighted to talk about Medicaid expansion. That will be on the August 4th ballot for everyone to determine if they are for or against Medicaid expansion. And so I've been asked today to talk a little bit about my understanding of Medicaid expansion. So I think I'll talk today maybe about the pros, those who support Medicaid expansion, and then maybe the cons, representing those who maybe don't feel like Medicaid expansion is something they can vote for. As far as the pros, the idea of actually Medicaid expansion is that more people will be covered under the Medicaid program. It will, in other words, expand the coverage so more people can participate. And the limitations have been the actual funding or the money to how to support that financially. But that's the idea: expand it to more people so they can have more coverage. The contention is also that once we agree to have Medicaid expansion, it will go to a 90% funding by the federal government, and then 10% funding by the state. And that way we will be able to have more funding, and the idea is if we get 90% funding for Medicaid expansion, well then that will be less funding for us, because we currently fund 35% of Medicaid.
Oh, do we?
Yes, and the federal government funds 65%. And so the idea is if we go to a 90%, 10%, that more people can participate. Currently, we have 846,000 people being covered on Medicaid services now and throughout the state. And so they would be able to expand that and then have more coverage for people. Again, the supporters believe also that with that 90%, 10% funding, that it will actually save the state lots of money. And then we can use that money for roads and bridges and schools and so on. So that's kind of the ideas of why people are for Medicaid expansion. That sounds really good. Those on the other side, though, feel like that it will actually cost us more money, even though it's a 65-35 funding split. The state will have to come up with additional funding, and the estimates are on that side of the argument is that the state will have to come up with around $650 million of extra funding to be able to fund those extra people who will come on the rolls. currently, Missouri, which is a good thing in my opinion, has a balanced budget amendment where we must have a balanced budget every year. In other words, we can't spend more than we take in.
Right.
And I promise you, people in Illinois and California and New York and those states who are bankrupt probably wish they had a balanced budget as well. The problem is if this costs more than an additional $350 million, then where does the money come from? And so there's only a couple of ways to fund that, again, and those who are against state that we'll either have to raise taxes or we'll have to take the funding out because of our balanced budget. We'll have to take the funding out of other areas, other services that the state provides. Well, the argument is also that money will come out of either education, because education is the second largest expenditure that the state has in their budget, or it will come out of transportation, in other words, roads and bridges and things like that. So that's kind of the quandary. Now, if you're on the pro side of this, the hospitals are really for this funding, because half of the hospitals in the United States are losing money.
Right, they are.
The other half are just barely holding on. And so they are in all big financial trouble. So they would like to see, the hospitals and providers and doctors would like to see Medicaid expansion happen. If you're on the education side, you're not so sure, because now the money may come out of your funding. And so it's a big quandary as to what's the right thing to do. And so the good thing is, if the federal government is funding 90%, well, that takes away from us having to spend a lot more money. But the bad news is we're the ones who fund the federal government, so it's our taxes. So it's kind of a no-win situation.
That's what I was going to say. It's kind of one way or the other.
That's exactly right. So regardless whether it's the state funding or if it's the federal government funding, it's still our money that we pay in for taxes. And so that's kind of where it comes down. Now, as I said earlier, more people will be covered under Medicaid expansion, but what the people who are against Medicaid expansion say is now you're going to have more healthier people that are going to be coming on Medicaid expansion who could be working and could be maybe providing for themselves, and maybe normally wouldn't be on there, which would take away some of the funding for those who really do need it. So those are some of the arguments pro and con for Medicaid expansion. It's going to, one way or another, it will cost us more money. And whether it's through the state funding or whether it's through the federal government. Now, selfishly, I'd like to tell you about a bill that I had proposed last year.
Okay, we'd like to hear it.
That both the pros and cons seem to like. And that is, if you talk to someone now who is receiving Medicaid funding, and you'll say, well, why don't you go get a job? The thing you always hear is, well, if I get a job, I'll lose my benefits.
Right.
Right?
You hear that a lot.
Or you may hear them say, well, gee, if I get a job, I'll have to go out and buy insurance, and I'll have to do all these different things, and I won't be any better off. I might as well just not worry about working. Well, in my bill, it allows people to continue to get their benefits and get a job. Okay? So you can work and keep your benefits. And once you receive, your salary gets to the federal poverty level, and you get just even $1 above the federal poverty level, well, then you would begin to start paying for your Medicaid premiums. And so that's one where now the the pros like it because now there's not a cliff where whenever you get a job, you lose all your benefits. That goes away. You can continue to keep your benefits. The con people like it because there's light at the end of the tunnel because people will go off of Medicaid at some point in time. And the way it works is for those people who, let's use, I'll just use a family of 4. In the family of 4, the federal poverty level is $26,200 per year. Okay? So anybody, if you make $26,200 and you have 4 people in your family, you're considered poverty. All right? If it's one person, it's $17,000, I think, $500 or something like that. And so it's according to the size of the family, what the federal poverty level. So with my plan, if you make $1 above, for a family of 4, you make $1 above $26,200 up to $500 above per month, then you would pay 25% of your Medicaid premium and you could pocket 75%. So that's a pretty good deal. You get to keep 3/4 of the money that you've increased over the federal poverty level. As you make more money, then if you get $501 above the federal poverty level, up to $1,000 a month over the federal poverty level, then it goes to a 50% split where you get to pocket 50% and keep that in your pocket, and you pay 50% of that increase over for your Medicaid premiums. And then if you get to $1,001 a month and above, you would pay 75% of that increase and pocket 25%. Well, by that time, it's starting to get kind of expensive, and so you would go and you would buy insurance from commercial carriers like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, United Healthcare, some of those. And so that's how it worked. By that time, it's getting kind of expensive, so you would go off of Medicaid expansion, Medicaid coverage. Well, what that means is once you're off, well, then the rolls go down of Medicaid, and less people will be covered because there will be less people needing Medicaid services. Well, the projections are that by my program, it will save, if only 15% of the 846,000 people receiving Medicaid today would take advantage of that, we will save the state $638 million per year.
Really?
So it's extremely lucrative. It's a good thing for the state. If as many as 20 to 25% of the people participate, it could be over $1 billion a year savings to the state. Now what that does, it now gives us funding for our schools. It gives us funding for our roads. And it also would give pay increases to the mental health care workers and corrections officers and highway patrol and healthcare workers and so on. So with $1 billion a year in extra spending, we could do a lot of good things for a lot of people, for the state. So that's kind of my proposal, and the people who are for Medicaid expansion like my program because, again, when you get a job now, you lose all your benefits. With my program, you keep your benefits. And then for those who are against Medicaid expansion, they like it because at some point in time, there's light at the end of the tunnel where people will eventually get off, and we can use that money for other services. So that's kind of my spiel as to what we think could be a good solution. That bill made it all the way to the last day over in the Senate and then died. So we're going to refile that in December. So that's kind of my take on Medicaid expansion. It will help our hospitals. It will help more people be covered. The federal government will fund a lot more of it, yet at the same time, it will cost the state more money, is what's projected, and maybe more people who probably could gets insurance elsewhere would join in on this, and it would be maybe a stress for the state. So those are kind of the pros and cons of Medicaid expansion.
Yes, but there's a lot of people that I find in a lot of different walks, there's a lot of people that take advantage of the fact that they can get the Medicaid and that, and they don't want to work, and they won't work.
Well, you're exactly right, and
that is a problem a lot in, I think, all over.
well, you're exactly right, and then when they use those funds, it takes away from those who really truly need it.
That's right, it is, it's wrong.
That-
But they don't see it wrong because they're, well, it's just like these rioters. You have the good ones and you have the ones that are just out there. They're really not there out for any purpose but to destroy.
Well, that's exactly right, and again, if we can adopt my bill, that takes all that off the table.
Right.
Now everybody pays their fair share.
That's
And
right.
now you will have some people who can't work and can't participate in my program. For instance, 62% of all Medicaid recipients are children. Well, they can't go to work,
Right,
so they're left out. And you truly have some people who are disabled where they can't work either. But we anticipate that there's at least of the 846,000 people receiving Medicaid in Missouri, we anticipate there's at least 127,000 people who could work.
right.
And
There is a
so-
certain percentage that are out there just taking everything the state will offer.
Well, this will now help. This will not cut them off, but it will require them to go to work and pay their fair share.
Yeah. I believe that they should, people that are disabled and can't work and different things, there's a lot of them out there.
We have a responsibility to help our
Right, and we do have a response, but there's a lot of people out there that are gullible and take advantage of everything just for themselves.
You bet.
They're selfish.
You're exactly right. There's bad apples in every group, and
Everything.
we want to make sure that only those who really truly need the benefits get the benefits, and the rest of us, we can provide for ourselves.
Right. I think so too. I kind of like the bill
Well,
myself.
thank you, thank you.
And I'm glad that you were here to talk about it. And
Well-
I'm sorry that was more informed. But it was very good.
Well,
Very
great.
good explanation.
Well, I hope that that explains, and if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to call my office in Jefferson City, and my number is area code 573-751-3455, and I would be glad to talk to anybody and try to further explain kind of my understanding of the pros and cons of this Medicaid expansion, or I'd be glad to explain my bill. And I do hope that everybody will plan to vote in the August primary. It's our responsibility as citizens to get out and vote, and we need to have our voice heard. So I hope everybody will get out and vote.
Well, I hope so too. And I thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
We really enjoyed this.
Happy to be here. Yes, so my name is Bryant Wolfe. I am a candidate for the state representative, District 116, which I am on the Republican ballot, and am the gentleman you just saw, Dale Wright's opponent. So a little bit about me. My wife and I, we own and operate a couple convenience stores, so we're small business owners. We have 3 young, beautiful children. We are from St. Genevieve, and we live just right outside the St. Jude area. I was a former alderman in town and sit on many municipal boards in St. Genevieve, or have in the past, in one form or another. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about my background. So I'm going to try not to reiterate on too much on anything he said. I'll kind of take a different path of more just what the ballot itself says and try to explain that lingo the best I can, because everybody knows when you go to the ballot box and you try to read those ballot initiatives, you can never understand what they mean.
Exactly.
And myself included. So I'm going to try to lay this out and go middle of the road, just as Dale did a good job of doing. And so we'll do the best we can on that and kind of explain it a little bit.
Okay, so how you guys got invited, actually, I read the ballot and it was like Greek. I had no idea what it was saying. So I called the Secretary of State and he gave me Sue's number and he said, maybe she can help. Well, find out we're all like that. So then I thought, you know what, I think I'm gonna call. Well, Sue, I think, suggested maybe calling Dale and yourself, and maybe you could explain it or we could understand it. And I said, wonderful idea. Let's do that. So
Yeah.
that's how you guys got invited, and we're so happy you both accepted.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I am particularly glad he decided to also explain it, because he, being currently in Jeff City, certainly has a little bit more information than what we have on the outside. So,
Right.
but I'm going to do the best I can with the information I have, and I think
I'm sure it'll be great.
I think.
so.
Well, let's hope. So anyway, so obviously, when you go to the ballot box and you go in, you're going to see a ballot initiative called Missouri Amendment Number 2. So what this is, or what this ballot initiative is, as Dale said, is basically Medicaid expansion. So what Medicaid is basically it's a state, federal/state welfare program to basically help pay for medical costs for the needy, essentially. So what this is going to do is this is going to expand Medicaid to those who are not currently covered under the plan. The biggest demographic of I guess people or folks that are currently not covered under Medicaid would be your single lower income individuals. So right now, if you are a single individual in between the age of 19 and 65, you have no eligibility to be able to get on Medicaid at all, regardless of income. I guess the theory behind that is if you're single, you're and you know don't have any kids or not married, then you could probably be working and pay for it yourself, I guess. So, like I said, for the majority of users would be in that demographic, that range, that age range. So currently, the folks that are eligible for Medicaid at this time are anybody over the age of 65, the blind or disabled, adults with dependent children with a household income at or below 22% of the federal poverty level, which is currently about $13,000, which is the federal poverty level. Also, infants under the age of 1 in a household with an income at or below 196% of the poverty level, which is about $26,000 roughly. And then also children between the ages of 1 and 18 in a household with an income at or below 150% of that poverty level. And then lastly, pregnant women with a household income at or below 196 of the poverty level, which is 26,000, like I said. So those are the people that are currently covered under it now. And what this ballot initiative would do is it would expand that this coverage to those between the ages of 19 and 65, like I said, with an income at 138% of the federal poverty level. So roughly $17,000 basically is who that would be expanded to. And I would assume for couples that would probably be roughly 32,000 in that area. So Amendment 2 also is an amendment to our Constitution. So what this does is it's not just a law that goes into place and it can be repealed or worked on. It's basically an amendment that goes in to our Constitution and is stuck there. So if some things happen, such as the federal Medicaid funding seems to disappear, then the state will still be expected to front the bill. And as Dale kind of said, kind of going into the pros and cons, the people who are for this are generally the ones that want to see this. They don't think the state is going to be affected budget-wise. They don't think there's going to be any issues. They think the federal funding that is going to come in, this will expand federal funding coming to Missouri. I did fail to mention that. So the federal funding will help pay for this, as Dale stated. So those who are in favor of this think that we are going to net gain from this, and by passing this, in the end, the budget will see a net revenue. And then those who are against this think the opposite. They think it's going to be an added cost to our already tight budget, and it's going to be a budget buster, essentially. And then it could only get worse if that federal funding doesn't end up coming one of these days.
So how much are they thinking the taxes will raise, or do they have a?
Well, as of now, there will be no taxes raised from this, which is the concern for the people who oppose it. Because if it does take a hit out of the budget, they're going to have to remove from some areas, which Dale had stated as well, which will more than likely be funding and transportation, which are obviously some critical areas. However, like I said, the folks who would be for it don't think that's going to happen. So there's a lot of back and forth of statistics, and there's taken from other states, statistics taken from other states. There's 37 or 38 states right now that have passed this kind of Medicaid expansion. I think we would be the 38th or 39th. I forget the exact statistic there. So to basically put it, I was going to give one quote from each side of the argument of prominent members, if that's okay. If I could certainly do that. So basically the arguments which would be for it, so I'll even take a county commissioner, or he's a former state representative who was a Republican. I won't name names, of course, but he said Medicaid expansion will bring more than $1 billion of our taxpayer dollars back from Washington every year, and that will help keep rural hospitals open, protect our jobs, and ensure all Missourians have access to health care no matter where they live. So that was a pro, that was someone who was for it, and then someone who was against it, who would be our current lieutenant governor, says Medicaid expansion is financially unstoppable and unsustainable. In the short term, it will require cuts to education, and in the long term, it could result in higher taxes for Missourians. So that's kind of on both sides of things, and that's essentially it. So let's kind of repeat one more time, and to conclude, I guess, this is Medicaid expansion that is going to be expanding to individuals from 19 to 65. Who meet the certain income requirements, and that's essentially all it is, outside of all of the fiscal things that circle around it, regardless of what side you're on, and the political side of it, of course. That's essentially what the ballot would do. So there's obviously a lot of politics involved in it. There's a lot of fiscal numbers involved in it that are going to be really confusing to us who don't know the exact budget numbers, or know the exact, we don't have anybody telling us what those are. However, I just wanted to try to explain that, and I can answer potentially any questions you may have that I might have missed.
Okay, so it's going to include people that are not on it. So why aren't these people on it? Because of their incomes, or because of their?
So right now,
just because they're what?
So right now, the current Medicaid program does not include individuals in between 19 and 65, regardless of income. Now, with an exception of certain circumstances, such as a pregnant mother, or a mother with a child. But if you are a single person or single individual, you are not covered under Medicaid, regardless of your income. And
because they think you are able to go out and work.
A member should be a productive member of society, I guess would be a good way to put it. Right. And therefore, your medical bills will more than likely be very, very minimal in the first place. So there's not a need to cover for that coverage, essentially. And obviously, there's only so much funding in these programs, so you have to kind of prioritize your patients or your receivers. Yeah. So obviously you want to go for the disabled and the elderly, of course, and then your infants, and those are the highest priority in that regards. So opening this up, as I think Dale said, to just individuals that single individuals could potentially put harm in the funding for that.
Because I know when my mother-in-law was in the care center, she was eligible for it, but we didn't get it
Mm-hmm.
because we chose not to.
Sure.
Because she was our responsibility.
Right.
You know, that's how we felt.
So you did it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is going to include like, if someone isn't really, they just have a really low income,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if they're working, I mean,
Yeah.
if
So
if
someone.
something's wrong with them or not, even if they're just like if I was 19 and I had a job that didn't pay very much, I would be eligible.
Yep. So if you were essentially, we'll take the classic case of, pardon my St. John English here, but a 19-year-old deadbeat, essentially you could qualify for Medicaid. Yep. Male, female, regardless, you could be perfectly fine. Just maybe don't want to work part-time. You only make $12,000. There are some, I think, some established requirements that aren't listed on any of this that I think you may have to keep a job. Something similar to kind of like what you already have to do with welfare or unemployment and that fact. But yeah, essentially, you certainly could. That's another concern of the people who are against this is scammers on the system. As just about any type of welfare program, there usually is some sort of someone taking advantage of the system.
Yeah.
When you give free money, that's
Right.
usually what ends up happening. But yeah, like I said, there's definitely a lot, and I think Dale lined out as well that there's certainly some benefits from it. And you know, if it does pass, we all hope that the ones who say that it's going to be a net gain in the budget, I think we all hope that will happen. But I think when budgeting, it's usually best to take your worst case scenarios.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
but,
Okay, you guys got any questions?
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Surprise. And I don't expect you to know this answer, but when you say we would be the 38th state, and then if this could really be a net gain to our state, and then kind of something going against just all the factors here involved, and then we have those who are against it saying that eventually it will hurt us or may cause taxes down the line. What has statistically been shown in the other states? Have they shown net gains? Have they brought out additional taxes? I don't know how long this has been around in other states, but, you know, is this being considered because it's going well in other? I just don't know.
So basically, the founding of this, or the start of this, came from Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act is where it started, and this was a part of it. So basically, the Medicaid expansion, for any states that would allow Medicaid expansion, the federal government has to fund up to 90%, which was listed in the video, and so that's where that additional potential $1 billion that I said earlier could come from, is from the federal government. So either way, which also comes from our taxpayer, which comes from our tax dollars in the first place. So that's where another argument on the other side says, well, the money's not, it's not free money coming from the government because we're still paying for it. Now, as far as the other states go, I will admit, I don't know that question. I've heard some interviews that say both, you know, people say that it has hurt states that passed it. There's also people that say it has helped states that passed it. So there's so many variables that I don't know personally that I couldn't answer that with certainty anyways, unfortunately, and I apologize.
Here's something to think about too. So all this stimulus money that was just handed out from the government, we're gonna have to start paying that back eventually. I mean, it's impossible to pay back the amount of money they gave out. So who's to say that money from the government's gonna keep coming to something like this?
That was an argument I heard on one of the interviews, basically, is the more the national debt continues, you know, when is that hit going to be taken out of the Medicaid, out of the federal budget, basically? And when that happens, especially with it being a constitutional amendment, or it being a part of our Constitution, if that funding ceases to come from Missouri, or even lessened, that we will be obligated to pay for the Medicaid expansion regardless of that federal money. And it's not easy amending the Constitution from something that, at least that's already in there, because you have to either go through an initiative process like this, or pulling something out in Congress, which is near impossible as well. So it's, that is one of the concerns that, like I said, the Lieutenant Governor brought up, that if the federal funding stops coming, which it certainly could, especially depending on how this 2020 election goes,
Right.
then we will be in a world of hurt, especially with our budget. We will either have to raise taxes or cut from other areas, and both are extremely hard to do. Raising taxes, obviously, people don't like
vote
raising.
against it, right?
Exactly right. People vote against it, and then, we'll have to start pulling from, education, transportation. Those are the two biggest that always get brought up, because they're already hurting for funding right now. So, yeah, there's definitely some big concerns behind it.
Another comment, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna cite on the air of not sounding ridiculous or stupid. There's a court case going on right now between Texas and, I believe, the US, that saying something's unconstitutional basically with ACA. So I don't know, do you know anything about that court case?
I don't know the details about it, but if that court case were decided in favor of Texas, that would eliminate more than likely the funding for this, and that is one of the concerns. Exactly. But so I don't know the details of the court case, but if that is ruled in favor of the states, then the federal funding could cease to exist. But either way, regardless, we'd still be stuck with paying for it. Yep. So
I haven't, last I checked, there wasn't an update on that case.
yep. And I
It's
think
good information. I mean, honestly,
Yep.
if I wouldn't have been here, I would have went up to the ballot and be like,
Well, the first time I read it, I was like, what is this? That's
what I thought. We're going to have to look up each one of these sections and see what they actually mean.
Yep.
And then when we probably won't remember them.
Yes. Well, if you think this one's confusing, just wait till you get to November when they bring on the Clean Missouri thing again. It's
Oh, boy.
it's going to
Is
be
that the
another.
green deal?
It is. No, it is. So in 2018, we voted on what was called Clean Missouri, and it had some ethics reform along with redistricting, like representative districts, our state districts getting redistricted. So there's a lot of like I said, I'm trying to stay middle of the road here. A lot of politics involved, back and forth, a lot of arguing, a lot of boring meetings that I've watched. However, there's concerns about the redistricting portion of it, and so it is going to be brought back to us in November to vote on the redistricting portion of it, which is not any less confusing than what we voted on in 2018. So, we'll see how it goes, but it's, like I said, these ballot initiatives, in my opinion, from an outsider looking in, are always intended to try to confuse the voters in the first place. So it's
Yeah, because they never put it in plain English, I would say.
Exactly. My general rule of law when going to the ballot box, if I don't understand it, I'm voting no for it, or I'm leaving it blank, one or the other. So that's
That's
my,
what I do.
my general rule. Yes. But and I hope I try to stay middle of the road on that. I hope I did a good job. I know. Any more questions, Assembly?
I'm sorry, I'll hold the I can't take up the whole.
we'll call you later.
That's fine. I guess people are free to call me as well. As I said, I live here in town. My phone number is 573-606-9663. I'm available to answer any other questions. Obviously, running for state representative, there's more than just this issue, and I'm free to answer any questions. I'm a business owner, so I have an open availability. I can go to people's houses and do whatever I need to do to talk to the constituents. So just feel free to reach out, and I will answer my phone.
Well, that's great.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And for those listening, you can replay this program. So if there's points that you didn't really understand, you want to hear them again, just go to YouTube and pull up St. John TV, and at this date, July 22nd, and you can watch it as many times as you want. Yeah. And it'll also be on 991 at 1 o'clock this morning, and then at 7, 1, and 7, I believe the times are. So there's lots of opportunity to rehear what Representative Wright and Bryant told us. So anyway, you got lots of opportunities now to decide which way you want to go on this. So. And thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank
Very
you
informative.
for inviting me.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have the Luna Ice Girls, and boy, is it delicious. Thank you for the treat. Okay, so do you want to introduce yourselves first, your names and...
My name is Amanda Schwint,
I'm Emily Geck.
and there is one more partner, Tiffany Holman.
So the three of you girls decided this was a good thing and you developed it.
Yep, I'll let Emily run with it.
Okay, so if you want to tell us a little bit of how the idea came about and...
Sure. So I can't remember if it was April or
It was
May.
May 30th.
That's when we all made the official
Oh,
decision.
it was
I think,
April
or
30th
something.
then.
It was, Amanda messaged me something like, it's a screenshot of another business in another state. She's like, hey, do you think this would be a viable business? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I don't know, why not? I can run some numbers. I'm a tax accountant, that's what I do for a living.
Oh, okay.
So she sent me some information and I dropped in some numbers. I'm like, this doesn't include everything, we need to consider other things. So I'm helping her with it. Like, I can help do a cost benefit analysis. And she's just like, well, you want to do this with me? And I'm like, oh, sure. Why not? Let me make sure my husband's okay. And I said something to him and he thought it was a little silly. He's like, okay, whatever. But at this point, in the beginning,
It was just
going
a
to
dream,
be,
honestly.
well, and it was going to be just like a little portable building in a parking lot. We were going to see if we could find someone like Country Mart or Tractor Supply that would let us put this portable building in their parking lot, like you might see in other places.
Right.
And so that's kind of where it started. And we decided to ask two of our other best friends to join in with us, and one other person committed. We're still sad about the other one, but anyway, so we kept running into some issues. We talked to county commissioners and they suggested a few locations. A lot of things aren't panning out, and so I don't remember how
We picked Brian's brain too.
Yeah.
we did. We met with
Yes.
Bryant. So I know Bryant and his wife. Kids go to school together or did. But anyway, I don't remember where or how it got involved, where we decided to build, or
It was a weird,
something came about.
it was a weird process of events.
Yeah,
that
everything
we
was
look
just
back and we're like,
eliminated.
how did this happen?
Yeah, everything was like, I fully believe everything happens for a reason, so we just kind of went in with emotions and found a piece of property, talked to the owner, and they're like, hey, I've got this other piece of property. So we bought Al Geisner's parking lot that was next to the body shop. So Al said, I've got this other piece, so I went to go look at it, and I mean, it kind of just went from this little portable building, maybe like a 10 by 10 building, to what we have now. I think we realized our first official day open, the first day we opened, we're like, we're not going to tell anybody, we're just going to open up the windows and see what happens. I think we were all just a little scared, and then the next day we're like, we're ready. So we announced we were going to be open.
It was insane.
Definitely our best sales day since we've been open. And we quickly realized, okay, we're not going to be able to run the shop with just two people, and we've really got something here. So it's kind of been, something now that we kind of hope that we leave as a legacy to our kids, because we really fully believe and are all in on what this business is and what it can do for our lives, and honestly what it can do for our community, because this is definitely something that is needed. There's not a lot. I know we have a water park. I know we have our ball fields and our playgrounds, but when it's 90 degrees out or 100 degrees out, kids don't want to play in a playground, and it costs money to get into the water park. So we're an affordable treat. I mean, you can get a treat for $1.09 with tax. And so it's really something that you can come and bring the family, you can stay for a while. We're working on shade, guys, if anybody's scrutinizing the shade and the lack of shade. We're working on it. There are a lot of things we're working on, and we always thought that we would just have that kind of availability and time, and we are so busy that it's just hard. It's just like we have this ongoing list of things that we need to do. So I don't know if I missed anything, maybe like the idea where this came from. Amanda originally said, she's like, we gotta do ice cream in it. I don't know how the toppings came about. I don't know how all that came about.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I was telling you earlier, I just think of things, and if I think it's something, I'm a foodie person too, so I love food. So if I think that I like something, I'll research the heck out of it until I know like what people want. And that's what people want. People here don't know they want ice cream in their shaved ice, but they
It's
do.
very good.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a great idea.
Yeah, go get the caramel apple pie, guys. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I
Oh,
haven't
yes.
tried that one yet.
Honestly, I have not had a bad one. All the sundaes I've eaten have been delicious. The only thing I don't like that we carry is coconut and
Yeah.
pineapple.
The only thing I don't like about them is they're so high over the
They
cup that they fall off on your napkin or whatever, or your legs, or if you're in a car, it's disaster.
Eating shaved ice is an art. You gotta know how to eat it.
I make a mess every time. Don't worry, it's not just you.
I'm learning.
I
Yes.
know.
I didn't know
Yes.
Yeah, I was telling somebody about it today, and I said, the only thing I would suggest is to take a bowl with you and just turn it upside down in the bowl. and
Yeah.
eat
Some
people do
out
that
of
with
the-
cups.
Yeah,
If you're outside at the tables, it's not too bad because
Yeah.
you can just take your
Yeah.
napkin and
Yeah.
wipe the table off, but.
we're prepared for sticky messes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another big point, a really big point of the business is we're all natural. And that was like from day one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we were like, we need to be all natural. So there's no
Right.
dyes, there's no artificial flavorings. What you get that's what you get. So there's no artificial anything. And we have a lot of kids who are like, I want blue ones. We're like, here's your blue raspberry. And they're like, it's not
Everybody,
blue.
yeah.
It's not blue. I'm like, it's all natural.
And then the parents seem to be okay, but then you do have the occasional
They like
child.
their tones to turn
Yeah,
blue.
yeah. But once
Yeah.
you taste it, honestly, I mean,
You would
it's
never
like
know.
you have to retrain
Yeah.
people how to, what things should taste like, honestly.
Something else that we offer in our shop is Clementines ice cream by the Pints. So we've worked out an agreement with them where we'll be the only person available that has Clementines ice cream for sale in St. John County. So it's very good. If you've not had it, it's delicious. It's all natural ice cream as well.
It is, it's very good. And you can buy it by the pint from you guys?
Yes, or you can buy vanilla or chocolate no. You can, yes, by the pint. And then we have little single serves.
Yeah. Of different flavors.
Well, that's pretty cool, too.
So it's going over real good.
Really good.
So are you planning on doing franchises?
I don't know what our plans are.
We have a lot of
Whatever
plans.
happens. huh?
We dream big.
Yeah. And that's the way to do it. You know the guy with the chicken in, Raisin?
Raising
Raising
Cane?
Yes. Did you read his story?
No, I should.
Yes, you should. He was a kid that had this idea since he was in high school.
Huh.
And everybody was telling him, no, it's
Yeah.
not gonna work, it's not gonna work.
I'm going to tell you, our husbands were very leery. They were very leery. And, I think we're to the point in our lives where our husbands are like, if you guys are going to dream of this, we'll give it a shot, whatever. So they honestly, when we bought that piece of property on 32, they said they were in the back thinking, how can we resell this lot?
They
And we're
were.
like, oh, we'll show you.
I think we blew their expectations out of the water when
Yeah.
the building was finally done. I think your husband, my
Yeah.
husband both said something about, oh, it was pretty nice. Like,
Yeah.
like,
It is.
what'd you think it was
Yeah,
gonna be, a
this is
sticky
exactly what
shack?
we
And
thought it was gonna
basically,
be.
they thought it was gonna be a sticky shack sitting somewhere.
So the other concrete slab out there, is that yours also?
We own the building. We're gonna be leasing it to, actually, our other partner and her husband. They're gonna be opening up a produce stand.
They're gonna open a
A
what?
produce stand.
Oh, okay. That's where the other concrete slab is going in?
So they'll have seasonal fruits and vegetables, and they're reaching out to local farmers if they want to like sell their
Oh,
items
okay.
in there.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
And then they'll be doing Christmas trees too.
Yep.
So are you going to be open in the winter too, or just the spring, fall, summer?
We haven't decided. That's,
don't know.
that's so many people.
But
Yeah.
you know what? Ice cream's good all year round.
And that's
As
what
long
it
as you
is.
got good heat in there.
You know, so I always say that, like, if it's summer and I make chili, someone will be like, oh, but it's wintertime.
Oh,
I'm like,
I
I
love
eat hot
chili.
food. I eat hot food all year round. I don't know about you. I don't eat cold food
You got
in the
air
summer.
conditioning.
Yeah.
You got
I
air
love ice cream
conditioning.
in winter time.
I like ice cream. I'm not.
Yeah, ice cream all year round, chili all year
Yeah.
round.
Oh, yes.
So many people ask us if
Super.
we're gonna be open, so it's on our minds more and more and more.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
We're playing with it and some ideas and things that we can do. I would imagine if we did, it probably wouldn't be at the hours to
Yeah.
the extent that we are now, only because
Oh,
of the
no,
school
just,
session.
yeah.
But
So we employed 19 kids.
You have 19
We have
working for you?
19 workers,
Oh,
and then
my
us
goodness.
3. We work too randomly, because we just like to show up. It's fun.
Right.
But we have 19 workers, and they're range from 14 to 19. So we employ 14 and 15-year-olds also, which we have to abide by government
Right.
laws, but
Right.
they work, and they're willing to work, so we're gonna work them.
And that's good for building them.
Yeah.
And they're
Preparing
probably
them for the
able to do that,
future, yeah.
Because there's not many people that are kids at it.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of fun, teaching them how to like mop floors and like how
Oh,
to
yes.
properly
there's
wring
so
out
many
a
people who
mop.
don't know how to mop floors or wash dishes. I'll just be honest. They're learning, guys.
So it's fun. We call them like life lessons at Luna's. Like, here's your life lesson for the day.
So that makes it fun for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so who came up with your logo? All of
I
you?
actually am a graphic designer
Oh,
by
okay.
trade. That's what I do as a living. I'm a graphic designer and a sales manager at Midwest Marketing. So, I mean, I came up with it. Of course, with their input.
Yeah, she made multiple different logos and we all decided and voted on
Which
which
one
one
you
we
want.
liked the best, yeah.
So can I ask a question? What's Luna stand for?
Someone literally asked me who was Luna the other day, so.
Luna's a
Amanda-
crazy person, huh?
Amanda, Tiffany, and I, we all like to stargaze, so we wanted to make sure that the name represented something that we all enjoyed to do. There's nothing, I mean, every time I get out of my car when I get home at night, the first thing I do is look up at the sky, doing it
And
for
we
years.
text each
and
other,
it's-
oh, did you see the sky?
Yes,
Like,
or
we're the
we'll
ones that
go-
were like, hey, there's a meteor shower, let's go.
Yeah, we'll go out to the meteor or to the big fields
Big
and we'll sit
fields.
on our hood and hide when cars drive by. I mean, I was with Amanda the first time I ever saw a comet, and it was like, it was so long for me to be like, oh, hey, there's a comet, and Amanda to look and like, oh, yeah, there it is. And I mean, how many times can you say that that's happened in life? But, so there were a bunch of different names we thought about and talked about that were either constellations or.
Yeah. But we wanted
something
to
do
be
with
something that
stars.
meant something to all of us.
Yes.
And that's hard when you have 3 different people.
Right.
Right.
But it meant something to all of us. Even our 4th friend that is not.
Yeah.
She still comes and helps us and everything. We
Yeah.
make her.
Her name's
But-
Crystal.
Yeah.
I never knew that. That was one of my questions I've had. I never knew. So that's very
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
It's- The Big Dipper would have been a good idea too, though.
This is true.
If we sold just ice
But
cream.
you don't-
Isn't there a place that's called Dip or something? Ice cream, Dipper,
Dippin' Dots?
Oh, Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots, is that what it is?
Yeah. So anyway, about our shaved ice too, the difference
It's good.
in shaved ice, there's like a, what do they call it, the fluffiness scale.
That's
So
good.
a fluffiness scale is 1 to 10, 1 to 5 is called a snow cone,
Okay.
and then 6 to 10 is a shaved ice, and ours is a fluffiness scale of 10.
I love the
So,
shaved ice.
and it's a
It is
fluffiness
so
of 10
good.
because it's shaved off of an actual block of ice.
Okay. I told somebody that it's like frost.
Yeah.
It is.
If you ball it up and throw it at somebody or the ground, it literally comes apart like a snowball.
Yeah.
I think this is super.
Yeah, it is, very
I'm
good.
addicted.
Definitely try
There's
them
lots
all.
of people addicted to it.
Oh yeah, we have
You did a
people-
good job, girls, really good.
I think our first solid month or even 2, and we still have people that come either every day or every other day.
Yeah.
Well, we have to try to distract our kids as we drive past every single day.
Like when we drive the kids with McDonald's, can I
Gotta
get
put a flyer.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
make sure they're distracted and not looking, because every single time.
I
every
love
time.
it. That's the best.
Yep, every time.
Try living with kids who know that you own
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good point. That's a good point.
Or they know you're working.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
text you
And
constantly.
it's better for you than McDonald's french fries.
Oh,
Sure.
This is true, but we definitely splurge on those all the time.
Definitely still support all of our local businesses. Also
Yeah,
go
those
get
are
ice cream
good.
other
I love their
places.
fries.
Yeah.
But I love this.
Well, what a wonderful story.
Thank you.
That's great.
So glad you came on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope you have really good success.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of goals, so just always, if you're not on our Facebook page, make sure you follow us on our Facebook page for all updates. Anything that goes out would be posted there for the public to know. But I did want to share, a lot of people know, and we post this on our Facebook page, we have those little tokens. Have you guys seen them yet?
No.
So we started a few weeks ago, I guess. If you might find one around town, or if someone gives you one, we've given a bundle to people to just pass out to random people. You can come to Luna's, and if you have one, you get a free small shaved ice with this. Just the shaved ice, none of the extra toppings and ice cream and stuff. But just the shaved ice is still delicious. So I have someone sitting in my car, so I'll randomly give them to people in the drive-thru or at the bank or something like that. But we try to give them to people we don't know. So
That's a good means
just so
of advertisement.
people know, if you see one, you know what it is, just take it to Luna's and get a small shaved ice.
Yeah.
So do you want to give your Facebook page and all that in case anybody wants to go to it?
Yeah, so it's just under Luna's, isn't it? Not Luna's Shaved Ice, I'm pretty
good
sure.
question.
I'm pretty sure it's just under Luna's, LUNA''S. And then we have a little pink, it's a round, like the round circle that you'll see for pages and the pictures they show. It's a little pink logo that's on there. Amanda's double checking.
So if they just go to Luna's,
Yeah, they can
Just
just
type in
search,
Luna's.
they can
They'll
just
get
search
it.
Luna's Shaved Ice on Facebook and it'll pop up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our website is lunasice.com, so, and that will take it to the website, or
Yeah.
Facebook also.
And we do online ordering, so especially if it's raining or thunderstorm, or if you have a really big order, you can place an order online. Should be ready within 15 minutes. We update it to let you know when it's ready or when it's in progress. Just know that if it's like between 7 and 9, our busiest time, there may be some delays. So, and if you do
so
order
you're
online,
really
make
busy in the evenings
Oh, yeah.
then, huh?
7, 8 o'clock is
Yeah.
bad.
It's crazy. It's still nighttime and
Yeah.
it's packed almost
Yeah.
every single
So
night.
that's
Oh, my
another,
God.
Yeah.
that's another thing that we're all from St. Genevieve. We all grew up in St. Genevieve. And that was one of our things. We wanted to stay open past the normal of St.
Because
Genevieve.
everything's closed down.
Yeah, so during the week, we're open till 9 o'clock. Fridays, we do 10 o'clock, and Saturday, we do 11. So,
Oh,
I mean,
my.
if you're craving ice cream, I crave ice cream all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
if
me
it's
too.
10 o'clock, I want ice cream. Now you can come to Luna's, because we're open till 11, and we do not close until 11.
Yeah, we will only ever close if there's inclement weather, so like a tornado.
Tornado,
warning.
because we don't have a basement, so.
Yeah, so our kids can take cover. So, but I was gonna say too, if you do an online order, make sure you come to the window and let us know
Yeah.
that you're there. So we know.
That is so wonderful.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
amazing. I love when especially young people come up with these great ideas.
When you're bored on a Friday night and it's 9:30, just know you got a half hour to get
Just
there.
come out there and sit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We've
can't
had-
wait till fall.
Yeah,
That'll be
there'll
so
be
nice to sit out there.
Yeah, we've had people like bring lawn chairs and just sit in the grass, and,
They'll sit there after close. I mean, we're still cleaning and stuff, so it's just sit outside, we leave the lights on, we got music that'll play, so.
How neat.
Never thought about that.
Okay, anybody else got anything to say? You got any more to talk about? You think you said all you want to say?
I think so.
I think so, yeah, but if there's anything that anybody ever has any questions about, feel free to message us on our Facebook page.
Okay, and I'm so happy that we finally got together.
Yes.
Thank you so
I
much
think-
for it.
You're welcome.
I can probably talk on one more point. So on fundraisers that we've been doing, someone, like an organization, they can reserve an evening at Luna's or during the day. A lot of people have been doing 12 to 9 or 3 to 9. So if, for instance, we had Valley Stuco
Stuco
tonight.
yeah.
So anybody who comes in and orders during their window of time, I think 3 to 9 was theirs, then we'll donate 20% of our sales for that
That's
night back.
generous, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So we
very
call that
generous.
Luna's Gives Back.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And they enjoy it, like the
Oh,
the
yeah,
Valley
for
kids are
sure.
there right now working, so they're working.
Yeah, we should have took someone off payroll for that.
Yeah.
Had them donate their time.
I think that's it now, I'm sorry.
That's wonderful that you
that's
got
great.
the young kids working.
Yeah.
I can't believe 19.
I know, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would enjoy working with them.
It's extremely hard to get a job at the age of 14.
It is.
Right.
So
I mean, you'd be
it is.
amazed
And-
how many people reached out to us for
For their
14
kids' jobs.
14 and 15.
Yeah, it's impressive. In our industry, I mean, which is the convenience store industry, it's pretty much unheard of given, some of the sales that take place in a convenience store. Obviously, they just can't be around it, can't
Right.
touch it. So,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
And then there's certain ages where it comes to, I guess, making like fried foods and stuff. There's labor laws around those. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I
That is.
didn't know that. I learned that this evening.
Yeah,
I did
that's
not know.
great. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Those kids don't know what to do and they like to have something to do.
They do. I mean, I really don't want to come out and say that they're some of our best workers, but I mean, they are, all of our workers are good, but they're really good workers. The young
That's
ones.
great, yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here.
A good service for our community.
Yeah.
Everybody
Thank you for being
enjoys
here.
ice
You're welcome.
cream
Thank you.
and Linda's shaved ice. so. Okay, I guess we are finished, so thanks everybody out there for watching us, and,
All have a good evening and stay safe.
yeah. And also, don't forget, you can get us on Facebook or on Channel 991, just look for What's New and it'll pop up. So, thanks a lot, you guys, for being on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for having
inviting.
us.
And thank you for watching us. Good night, all. Wait, bye-bye.